radical self-acceptance. You have to understand that if you don't accept yourself, no one's going to accept you. No one can accept you. You have to understand that if you seek out for others to accept who you are as an individual, you will be conforming and transforming into what others want you to be. And so most of you guys lack your own authenticity, and you guys are master conformists. You guys are master shapeshifters. You shape yourself and mold yourself into what others want you to be. And so this is going to leave you feeling incomplete. You don't feel whole. You don't feel like you're one with yourself. You feel like you're always trying to compensate for other people. And what you're really doing is feeding everyone but yourself. And so we have to truly question ourselves, and we have to realize how low level we actually are for doing this and then perpetuating it as a habit. If you can think of someone else before yourself, you've got the game backwards. Because you have to understand that if you are not in the right state of mind, if you are not the best version of you, if you are not prioritizing yourself and your development and your growth as an individual, well, you automatically become a liability to anyone you come in contact with. So most of you guys seek to be an asset for everyone but yourself. And so you can help a friend out, but when it comes to quitting your addiction, you no longer can put that same energy, that helpful energy that you were using to help your friend out to quit your addiction. And so what you're basically proving to yourself is that you love other people's validation more than you love yourself. And so every time you choose to conform and separate yourself to connect with others, thus leaving yourself in the abyss while you annex with others, goes to show who you are as an individual to yourself. And so this is going to lead to internal conflict. You have to understand that it's either internal conflict with yourself or external conflict with others. And when you truly embody that authenticity, you will come to the realization that conflict with others will always be better than internal conflict with yourself. Most of you guys, you allow people to warp your perception. You guys question yourself more than you question others. You guys reflect and damage yourself through the constant fear, but you neglect the responsibility to look at who you're dealing with absolute awareness. And so your lack of awareness on the things that you're putting your time and energy into, the people that you're around, but you're incomplete awareness on yourself, which is the awareness of questioning yourself. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Does this person not like me as they should? This is my friend. And so most of you guys don't even realize that the only reason people keep you around is for, to distract themselves from what they need to do in life. You guys are like feeding each other distractions, and then you fail to recognize the fact that you only live once. Your time is decreasing as we speak. And so you're going to die someone who went their entire life distracting themselves with people that really couldn't even give a fuck about them. You have to understand that no one is going to love you more than yourself, and no one's going to accept you more than yourself. And so every time you conform to someone's distorted, warped perception, you have to understand that what you're doing is putting yourself in a position where you're saying, I'm inferior to you, and, I'm going to allow you to control my perception of myself so I can fit into your narrative, so I can fit into your context, and then I can perform this like some zoo animal, like some circus clown. And so what you don't understand about yourself is that you truly do have an authentic version of you. There is a version within you that you have not uncovered, which is the realest version of you, that expresses themselves at the highest level, that has such a high self-esteem, could give a fuck about what the people around them think, and to trade that version of you and to exchange it for this ventriloquist, conformist version of you to feel accepted by people who don't even accept themselves. Well, you have to understand that this is going to reflect internal chaos. And so you're no longer reflecting your internal state externally. Your external states are going to reflect internally. And so the game becomes upside down. You now invert as an individual. You are now an inverted, contorted individual. And so this is going to lead to so much internal chaos because you don't have full navigation and control of your mental state. You don't have absolute control of your mental state. And so while you allow the external world to influence the way you want to behave as an individual, you will realize that the influence will lead to internal chaos that will reflect in absurd behaviors. And so most of you guys want to question other people. And it's righteous to question people who behave a certain way. But when you truly look and peer into the depth of why they behave such a way, it's because they allowed their external circumstance to mold who they are. And so this individual is now a puppet on a string to the external world. And so they are no longer in control of their internal state, but the external world is now navigating them towards what the external world feels it needs to be navigated towards. What do I mean? If you enter an environment and everyone is looking at you like you're indifferent, if everyone is trying to separate themselves from you, you are standing out. The conformist will view this as a threat. They will respond to this as a threat. And so they will try to seek out validation, to validate themselves, to not stand out, to be something that they're not, to fit in, to not feel the tension of the room because they simply cannot handle that weight of attention. But you have to truly understand that the man who navigates himself with the internal states, who coheres himself to divinity by being the most authentic, best version of himself, well, this man is not going to give a fuck about the tension in the room, and the tension is going to be on him because he is the light in the room. He is the most authentic. He is the brightest light in the room. In a world full of dim lights, in a world full of people who flicker on and off, who don't even have enough energy to regulate themselves and to stay bright all the time, well, when you become the bright light, all the attention will be on you all the time. And it's because you're being yourself. You're being authentic. You're in a flow state. And so that energy, people see that, and then they have to now reflect on themselves. Because again, remember when I said that if you view the external world as is, then you will reflect your internal states from the external world. And so when someone is perceiving you, they're subconsciously now reflecting and gazing inward. And so if I see this individual standing out and I've been conforming my entire fucking life, well, now I have to perceive this individual and reflect on how much I've been conforming as a person. And so now this is going to spark resistance and tension, and I'm going to project that tension on him as a threat, because you are now threatening my ego, because you are embodying the authentic self. You are realizing yourself through flow state, and you are expressing yourself at the highest degree. And so what you have to do and truly comprehend and understand is that your internal state is going to navigate you throughout the world, not the other way around. But most of you guys invert that and then choose to play the narrative like some dog. You choose to play the narrative of everyone around you, leaving you incomplete. But the only thing that will truly complete you and fulfill you and leave you with wholeness is being the most authentic version of you every fucking day. And to never conform to someone else's perception, but to choose and wield your perception and wield your will to what you want, instead of designing yourself into something you don't want to be for other people. Most of you guys go your entire life performing some person that you are not, just to fit the narrative of others, because you are too scared and you fear the tension of standing out. But to embrace that tension of standing out is going to reveal to you who you are through the active demonstration of being the best, most authentic self, which is going to reflect in your entire timeline, which is going to reflect in your thoughts, which is going to reflect in your behavior. And when thought turns into behavior, and behavior turns into habits and patterns, when you follow the same positive pattern that is in the active state of creation, well, you have to now understand that you are going to manifest forth a reality. You're going to bring forth a reality in reflection of that higher self. Because you have to understand that your internal states is going to directly correlate to the trajectory of the path that you walk. So if you behave in a low-level manner and you allow the internal world to choose who you're going to be, and you conform to the narrative of others, well, you have to understand that the thoughts of conforming to others is going to lead to behaving as this figment fraction of what you could have been, and this is going to lead to a figment fraction reality. But the moment you embody your higher, most authentic self, well, you're going to behave and think like your highest, most authentic self. And so behavior leads to outcomes, because the way you behave, when you compound that over time, you will compound to something more, and that is going to be a direct reflection of your reality, because you are reflecting it through the higher quality internal states. And so most of you guys lack the reflection of your mind, and so you'll die a low-level bitch, piece of shit, garbage of a bitch, because you never wanted to look in the mirror and confront that pussy. And so while you suffer in a reality that you don't actually want to exist within, every day we're just going to wake up and demonstrate what the fuck you'll never be and what the fuck you'll never become, because you were too much of an arrogant piece of shit to look in the mirror and realize that that's not even what you want to be. Conformist bitch. So understand that it's very simple. The individual who operates from a self-possessed, contained internal state is going to think, behave, and manifest forth in reality in the reflection of. And the individual who contorts themselves into other people's perception to perform their narrative is going to think like a conformist, is going to perform and behave like a conformist, and their reality is going to reflect the mediocre performance of a joke, broke bitch. And they're gonna die that shit. And so what you have to truly understand is that you only live once, and if this is the way you want to live, then go ahead. We're not trying to motivate you. We're not trying to convince you. We're simply peering through the depth of your soul, which is hidden behind the mask that you love to put on and perform for others. You see, we see through you, and now you have to look into yourself and truly gaze inward without looking at someone else and comparing yourself, and then performing jealousy and performing what you believe you should be acting like. You have to understand that if your life doesn't consist of a flow state, well, you're living in some subpar alternative bullshit. And so look in the fucking mirror and reflect on that bitch, because you will die that piece of shit, decaying pussy, if you don't do some shit to fix some shit, bitch.